now.
Okay, well, hi you guys. We only have about 10 minutes left anyway, but sorry if it's a little bit weird. Sorry if it's a little bit jumpy. I don't know why that is. I did upgrade my internet plan and have a new modem coming. So hopefully that'll help things here in a little bit. Yeah, we switched sides. The last stream was not feng shui enough, so we fixed that, and hopefully this will get the molecular magnetism between the alignment of the planets will now work for our live stream.
What was that word?
I don't know. I can't repeat it. I can only sound smart for a couple seconds.
Well,
at least we have sound.
Yeah, we have sound and we can see you somewhat. So anyway, right. I don't know where we were before we lost.
Well, there were two things that I saw that I wanted to address that were in the chat just as we were going belly up here. One was that somebody was like, well, said something about drinking is just about moderation. You know, it's not like you can't drink. Of course, like everybody is different. For me, I was drinking way too much. I still have a drink from time to time. I'll have like a beer when I go to a friend's house, or I went to a friend's house the other day and they had this whole like wine pairing thing with dinner and I drank some wine. It's not like I'm, you know, whatever. So yes, everything in moderation, I guess. But if you're a kind of person that, you know, finds yourself having a difficulty keeping alcohol at a moderate whatever, then maybe you're the kind of person that's better if you stay away from it. Anyway, I probably shouldn't even have to explain that. Number two, somebody said, does awakening cure depression? And I thought that was really interesting because that was my experience. I was on antidepressants until I had my awakening experience. Did you have any kind of thing like that, Tyler?
Actually, it was the opposite. My life was so masked by drugs and alcohol, and everything was great until my awakening. And that entire reality, that entire world, all those relationships fell away. And I felt lonely. All of a sudden, no one understood me. I didn't have anyone to talk to. I was discovering all this amazing stuff. And when I told people about it, they thought I was crazy. So it actually had the opposite for me.
Right.
Like things were good for me until I decided to leave that world, which I now realize like I was in the deepest program of the matrix you could be in. It was nothing to be proud of, but it made me who I am today, and I don't regret any of it. But it was the opposite.
Well, that's interesting because what would we say is the difference between depression and a dark night of the soul experience? Because to me, depression was like chemical. It was like, even though there was nothing that I could put my finger on that was wrong in my life, even though I was surrounded by lots of friends, even though I had probably from what looked like from the exterior a really great life, I was depressed. But yes, when you do go through the awakening process, you have that loneliness, you have that detachment, you have that falling away of everything that you know. And I know that's really hard and it's really sad, and we would call it depressing, but is that really depression?
Well, no, I think I just answered my own question by listening to you. So it is. There's the difference between a depression and dark night of the soul to me is that depression, you don't know what's going on. You don't know why you're depressed. You're masking it with pills and drugs or whatever. The doctors are telling you this, you're depressed, you don't know how to get out of it. A dark night of the soul, you know what's happening. You know what's going on, and you know why you're in that position. So you can now do something about it because you understand why it's happening. And as you go through the awakening, the tools start coming to you. All the tools that you need are there, and they're just like waiting for you. They're just like, hey, here I am, like, and just until you notice it, right? And it's up to you to follow that path and to look for those signs and synchronicities that are going to get you out of it. But the dark night of the soul is ultimately a massive lesson. And I guess depression would be something different because you don't actually know what's going on.
Right.
Maybe.
Right. I don't know. Yeah. And I mean, once you get past that, the portion of the loneliness and the having to come to grips with a completely new life and brain and viewpoint and all of those things, it almost like shoots you forward because you, even though you've looked at all of these really dark things, it's almost like for the very first time, you're addressing the truth. Whereas you can't really be fully happy when you are asleep, because I believe subconsciously we know there are really dark things going on our planet and we're just not addressing them. So we mask it by looking at, focusing on the shallow things. To keep our minds busy, to keep our minds occupied, to keep our minds entertained. But even though we can have like happy moments, there's still like a connection, I believe, that's missing.
Yeah, exactly. And well, oh, hello.
No, go ahead. Go.
No, I was just hearing myself echo back for a second. Anyway, what was I going to say? What was I going to say? We were talking about blah, 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 blah.
We were saying.
It's about accepting. Once you go through like the dark night of the soul, I realized what was hard for me is I now had to take responsibility, accepting responsibility for everything that I had done and everything I had become. Instead of I always put the blame everywhere else. It's always someone else's fault why I was here or why I was doing this or why this happened, and it became about taking responsibility for yourself and in living in integrity and understanding like I'm not here because of anybody or anything. I'm here because of me, and then that's where the growing starts. Like just having that realization and understanding like you can, like it's all in your mind and climbing out of it. And I still go through phases, but I have to stop and remind myself, listen, this is not even an issue. You're making such a big deal out of nothing and better, like just snap out of it. And sometimes at that point, it takes distracting yourself, getting outside, doing something, whatever it might be. Go and visit somebody, that's been wanting to see you that you've been pushing off. Like go do whatever it might be, but to get out of your own head. And sometimes just doing that can be all that you need.
Right. Yeah, that's true. It's funny because somebody was just asking in the chat, I think it was on YouTube, but I didn't catch the name. Why are we here? And well, I don't know if they just got lost and fell into the stream or if they're asking the really deep, profound question that I think that they were asking. But it does go into that, why are we here? Those deeper questions are why I started to realize that I needed to get back into, for me, my spirituality, or why people need the religion or whatever it is, whatever grounds you, that keeps you, whatever your belief is, as far as what you're here to work on. Because I think that most of us, those answers for us are all rooted in being the best kind of person that we can possibly be. For me specifically, I feel like I'm here to work on certain things, certain parts of my personality, and to do as much as I can to be of service to other human beings.
Mm-hmm. You said something, beliefs, right? The religions and stuff. This book I'm reading, they said it's important to remember that beliefs are just an agreement, or beliefs are just agreements about reality. Is all a belief is. And it's funny when it's worded like that, it makes you stop and think about it entirely different. And then you have all these problems in the world, all these, the world is under a massive crisis, right? And is that a crisis because of it's really a crisis, or is it a crisis because of the limits of our own belief system? Mm. Yeah. So it depending on what you believe and how you view the world it's a problem or it's not a problem. You have a choice now. All this information is coming in, and you can either inform yourself or entertain yourself. Which one's good? We can just entertain ourselves with television and not be doing ourselves any good, or we can inform ourselves and use that knowledge to spread and raise a collective.
Yeah, it's funny how when we get away from, when we start feeling, those feelings of depression again, or starting to feel jaded and tired in whatever it is our outward mission is. And we have these things that we know that we can do to pull ourselves, to make ourselves stronger. But it's like anything that it's even though some, for each of us, we kind of know what those things are personally, it's still really hard to make ourselves do that. I think I was telling you a long time ago that I have a list that is like all the things that I know that I need to be doing in order to keep myself happy. And if I'm not, it's my shut the F up list. Because if I'm complaining, if I'm sad, if I'm like, why is this happening to me? I go to my list and I'm like, well, you didn't do this one and you didn't do this one and you haven't been doing this one. And it's like, well, then shut the F up. Because we all have the formula as far as, keeping ourselves strong and keeping focused on what's real and what's true. And then all of the other stuff is just a distraction.
Yeah, exactly. And I do remember you telling me about that list. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm going to make a list like that too. And that never happened.
You were like, let me see your list. I was like, no.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
embarrassing things on that list, but they're my list. But I really recommend doing that. I mean, there are things on there that are like dumb, brainless things. Like, are you drinking water? That seems like such a dumb thing to, it's like reminding yourself to breathe. But at the same time, I feel like such a different person when I'm hydrated versus when I'm not hydrated. So it's on my list. Like, did you drink enough water today, Kate? Well, then shut the F up, because you need to do that. That's just one of the things for me. Or meditation or prayer, or getting out in nature. How long has it been since you went outside? Well, are you feeling depressed? Go outside, give that a shot. It's at least we're trying.
Go outside, give it a shot.
Yes, new thing called going outside. I've
Yeah.
heard wonderful things about it. I haven't tried it myself,
You know,
but
water is interesting because I remember just in construction, I would like the afternoon would come around and I would start slowing down. I would feel like shit. I'd be tired. Like, man, I can't wait for today to be over. And then I would stop and I would realize like I hadn't had a drink of water in hours, and I would go drink an ice cold glass of water, and it would just reset me for the whole afternoon. And it's amazing what a glass of water will do that you never think about. Like, are you drinking enough water? That can change your entire day.
yeah, yeah, it can.
Even like physical ailments and pains and stuff, you just might be dehydrated. You need some water instead of going and drinking juice or tea or coffee. Drink some water.
You know, in my kind of hodgepodge of beliefs, because that, like, I am getting into that spiritual stuff that people would call, new age or whatever, that I was raised Buddhist, but then I also am gravitating now towards like biblical stuff and learning more about, those kinds of things. And I'm picking and choosing, and some people get mad at me for that, whatever. But one of the things that I am taking from that kind, I don't even know what to call it, religious, whatever, is praying over my food. I pray over my food and my drinks now, and my son's food. I always pray over it. Oh my gosh, it was really cute. The other day I was like putting my hands over my son's food, his dinner, and I was praying over it, and I was asking God to infuse the food with his love and light, and to, make this food as nutritious as possible for my son, and all of these things. And my son was like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm praying over your food. I'm asking God to put his love into your food. And when I was done, my kid took a bite of his food and he was like, oh my gosh, it tastes so good, Mom. It's better than ever. Thank you so much for doing that.
Oh,
So cute.
I actually believe in that. I've tasted water before and after it's been blessed, and I don't know if it's like some placebo effect, but I swear it seems different. It seems different. I really believe that
Well,
works.
there are whole studies on intentions and water, and intentions have vibrations, words have vibrations, and there have been entire studies on writing certain words on a bottle of water versus love versus hate, or playing a certain kind of music versus playing some kind of ugly screeching sound or whatever. And it does change the molecular structure of the water to where it looks, these beautiful vibrations over here, they look like crystallized snowflakes.
All of them are symmetrical snowflakes, and the other ones are just like all distorted. Yeah.
Distorted, exactly. And so there is science behind it, and I think that's where the coming together of all of this, of the awakening, is really kind of compelling to me, is when you can take the kind of spirituality, the religious stuff, the stuff that we've always thought was just kind of like out there, and you can connect it to science and see that there's actually something to this. And I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's Dr. Emoto who's done the original study on that. I know lots more studies have been done since then. But you know what else you can bless too?
What?
Your alcohol. Something I never thought about until recently, but somebody made me aware of it. Your drink doesn't have to be this negative thing that we're told and taught that it is. You can bless it and restructure it also.
Well, that's another thing that I thought was really interesting with your talk the other day with the channeler. Tell me his name again.
Ivan Teller.
Ivan, yeah, because you asked him at the very end about the vaccine, and could you kind of put your intention into it beforehand so that, you know, anything that was going to do damage to you, you could kind of mitigate anything negative that. And
yeah. You there? Say something. We lost your audio again. But guess what? Nicole Frolic is live right now with Lala Deaton. So I guess we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. This has been a lot of fun. Thanks, Kate, for having me on. Head over to Nicole Frolic's channel and check out Lala Deaton. She has a Christmas album coming out, or it might be out already. And it's amazing. Seriously, it's like the first Christmas album I've listened to that actually like captures the magic of Christmas again. It's really good. It's like kind of Frank Sinatra style, big band type album. It's really good. So head over to Nicole's channel. Guys, if you feel compelled whatsoever, please donate to Kate. She's doing a lot of awesome work, and she's got her new channel with IET, We the Media, and they can use all the support they can get to get this thing off the ground. So any donations, any support helps. It's much appreciated, and it doesn't go unnoticed, and I know Kate would agree with me. That being said, thank you guys for tuning in, and make sure you head over to Nicole Frolic and check out her interview with Lala Deaton. Good night, guys.